This is the third generations math book that my son has done, and he's still loving it. He never complains or has tears over math. Things are explained super well, and I'm going to show you inside so that you know what to expect if you were looking at purchasing this book for your kids. I also want to share with you how you can get this on an extreme discount when the best time of year is to buy it, and let you know right now that over on Instagram, I'm doing a collaboration with Generations where you can choose one free book if you win the level of math that you would like. Just comment on this video, comment over on our joint post over there, and you will be entered to win one of these math books, and we will let that person know who won at the end of the week. So make sure not to miss out on that. Okay, let's open up and I'll start showing you inside. Right away, when you open up, you'll see the table of contents. This is going to tell you what is available in here, and you can see this on the sample examples on the website. If you just click on the button, they will show you some of this information as well. There are a lot of patterns and shapes in here. Finding fractions and decimals, more decimals, real life math. And along with all of this, while you're doing this, you are also continuing to learn addition, subtraction, to practice those things, and larger numbers. We'll show you that in a bit here. Probability, geometry, long multiplication gets introduced in chapter 9. International symbols, systems in units, so metric gets introduced here. Long division, again, long multiplication, long division, there we go. And getting it right, doing it faster. There is a teacher's introduction, how to use this course. I always enjoy reading those because I feel like I do learn a lot during that time. There is a suggested lesson schedule. So this would be doing math for 4 days a week and having 1 day off. So this is all in here, and you can see how long it would last you. 144 days in here, which is nice to be able to cover so much in such a short amount of time. I'm seriously blown away by how much they cover in here. Okay, my son has already completed the first 20 days of lessons in here, and I want to respect him. So we are going to kind of flip through this a little bit quickly, but they really did talk about, there was one thing I wanted to show. Number placements up to 1 million is covered in here. So they have continued to develop their number sense and then breaking it down and writing it, and you will see that later on. He's also been working a lot on angles, a lot on shapes, measuring things. Here, there's a lot of multiplication at this point. From what I remember in the previous book, they had carried a little bit in addition, maybe borrowed right towards the end of it, and now they're borrowing all the way over to the hundreds place. And so you can expect that to be in here. They've been doing a lot of measuring perimeter and finding the area up to this point as well. And that just continues to go, talking about clockwise and counterclockwise. I think one of the things that keeps it interesting is the different kinds of activities they have. So here there's a Sudoku where they've just got a couple different things to fill in. And they introduced this really early on, I think, in even book 1 for practice. And there's just always something kind of new that they find to add in. Oh yeah, he also was working on tessellation a lot earlier this week, creating his own tessellations as well, which are designs that kind of continue on and fit together. I really thought this was cool. I flipped ahead and saw this. There are a couple QR codes throughout this book. You can scan them and it'll take you to additional activities that your kids can do, teaching them more. And I just really appreciate when books have this. And Generations has done this in several books. Some of their upper grade science books has this as well. That takes you to pre-approved videos or extra activities for kids to be doing. And I think that that's so great that that is available. So here we're going to go on to now fractions. Fractions have been kind of gently introduced up to this point, and now they're going to start getting used a lot more. There's also this unions and intersections has been introduced for the last 2 books as well. I think in general, they treat your kids like they're smart, like they can understand and handle things. And the way that they just have continued fun practice throughout really gives your kids the confidence that they can handle it as well. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit in here. And not being stuck on just one thing for an entire book, but being able to kind of switch it up and learn new skills pretty progressively, but then still practicing those old school skills so that they don't forget them. That's called the spiral approach versus mastery, where mastery can kind of be like beating a dead horse over the head over and over again. Here, applicable math. Who doesn't love when we can talk about why math matters? And actually, I think that's what this next tab is here that I marked, is money. And so with decimals and fractions, it's just so easy to teach those things using money. And look, we're still doing angles in here too. You'll see a lot of things continue to come back up. Well, we're showing money from around the world even. That's so exciting. Let's see what else I have marked that I wanted to show. Area in a fish tank and how to find that. I also noticed that they were showing how to find areas of circles and of triangles. To me, that feels like pretty advanced for a level 3. But again, like my son never feels overwhelmed by it because I think just the continued practice going over and over helps him be reassured that he can do it. Here we go. Here, this is incredible. Look at this. So I was flipping forward earlier and saw this. If you can see, there's like little outlines. So here's a triangle, here's a circle, and they need to figure out like the area of all of this. So area of a square equals side x side by side times. Area of a triangle is base times height, divide 2. Area of a rectangle equals length times width. Area of a circle, 3 times radius times radius. Oh my goodness, I feel like I couldn't even do this. But I think my son's gonna have a lot of fun with that. And so I'm excited it's in here. Here's another QR code that we can do when we get there. Now we're going in to long division. Another thing that I really like is their vocabulary. So yes, this is a wordy math. You're going to read the lesson to your child, but the way that they use their vocabulary, like they'll ask questions in different ways so that your child is never caught off guard in a test. If you have to take tests in your states and they ask it a little bit differently, I have seen children get tricked in that, like just unsure, like they're used to having this number and then add that number and that equals, but in the test it says what is the sum of that, and the child's like, what is the sum? I don't know, what does sum mean? Like that's not what my math book teaches. This book is so good about using all the different vocabulary and pointing out when, like if there's a word that signifies that it would be multiplied or divided. It is really good about pointing out how to notice those things. Let me flip back real quick so that you see what like a lesson actually looks like. So here's day 50. You're going to read this part with your child. So we're reading here, then we're doing some practice together, and then they're doing it on their own. So this is all day 50 here. Now they're doing things that they've learned before as like practice, review. And then here's day 51. So on day 51, I really don't have to be involved in this with my child unless I need to help him read the word problems. He would just open this up on every other day and just be able to do his math by himself. And then the next day, again, I would read something to him and he would go on to do the practice himself. So that's kind of the style that you can expect. And at the top, it always says what day it is that you're doing that. So your child knows, okay, I'm on day 128, day 128, day 129. Okay, so today I only have these 2 pages. And it's just really easy to keep track of because we don't really follow a schedule. We just kind of open and go and keep going. And this book is incredibly open and go friendly. Like even if a different parent was teaching that day or a grandparent was helping out, that would be completely fine and it would work. Right at the end is where you would find, oh, we're still going there. There we go. That's where all of the answers are, is in the back of the book. So when you get this, it is just one book. You don't need a teacher's book and a workbook. it's all in one, and I just love that. Okay, now for the big news. Generations just released their PDFs on a huge discount from the actual physical book. So for this one, it's like $10.50, 58 cents, something like that, rather than the full cost. Other math books were even less than $10. There's workbooks for the sciences, there's the textbooks for history, all kinds of things. Just go check out their PDFs and see what a great deal this is. Now, I don't actually think that this is the best way to go for all families. Personally, I'm okay paying the price because this is a lot of paper to print. There's a lot of beautiful color in here that I wouldn't want to miss out on. And I only need it for one child because he's my last child. If you have multiple children, it might be worth getting the PDF. If you live overseas, this is incredible for you to not have to worry about shipping. I think specifically, in my mind, the workbooks that go along with the history textbooks, I don't usually use them very much. I use some of the questions in there. I use some of the maps for doing some mapping in there. The vocabulary I would like to use, but rather than buying the physical book, I would much rather buy the PDF for the workbooks. I would still purchase the physical copy for the history books or the science books. Unless you're really good at using ebooks on some kind of device, and if you are, then again, this is a great deal for you. I'm just not. I prefer the physical books. This would also be an excellent way to try this out. If you're not sure if this is what you want to do for your child, purchase one of the levels for $10 or less. Give it a shot, and then after you've completed 30 days and you're like, yes, this is what we want to do, then on Black Friday, you can purchase the physical book for half price, because Black Friday is also the other great way to get books through Generations, or Cyber Monday. They run typically like a 50% off sale on their all of their curriculum. It's incredible. I usually wait, add things to my cart until that sale hits, and then boom, I am there. I want all of it. And I have a lot of it because I just think Generations is incredible. Something I didn't cover in here, but I've talked about a ton of other times, is how good they are at bringing God into everything. That is something so important to me when I am picking out a math curriculum. God is involved in every subject. He is a God of order. He created, he is not a God of chaos. He has structure to things. 1 + 1 = 2. And I just think that if you don't have God in your math, there's a gap in your child's spiritual education. There will always be a gap in our kids' education, and they can fill in some of those things later. I have major gaps in my education from growing up that I fill in later, but I don't want my kids to have gaps in their spiritual education. And so I have just been really blessed by seeing how Generations includes those things, and so excited to be sharing this curriculum with others. Let me know down below, what grade levels of math are you looking for your children? Make sure to comment here, comment over on Instagram, and then we will do a random name pull at the end of the week to select a winner, and you can choose your own math level. So thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you would like to see me review next. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.